Hello, this is Brandy Venzel from afterthoughtsblog.net. Today we're going to talk about how to use AO for groups. So most of the time, most people, they go to AmblesideOnline.org, they click curriculum, they place their child in an individual year, what's available is years 1 through 12, and that's it, right? AO for groups is a little different. You have to click a different spot, and then you will see pretty much the exact same Ambleside Online curriculum, but reorganized. This was done, I believe, by Wendy Capehart, probably by some others as well. But it was really designed for cottage schools and large families. And this tutorial was brought about by a question that I received in Charlotte Mason Boot Camp. And, let's just start with the question. So she says, we recently switched from a box curriculum to Ambleside Online, and I am increasingly concerned about the reading load. I understand and love the idea of a feast and that I introduce and show my children all these beautiful things, but I have no idea how I will have time to do that if I am reading to each child for what will eventually be hours a day. I have no earthly idea how we will have time for anything outside the 3 R's by the time all my girls are officially in their own terms. When the youngest starts, I will have a year 1, year 2, year 3, and year 5. When I ask questions about how to do AO with multiple children so close together, the answer is always do what is best for each child and keep them all separate, which again makes me want to sit down and cry. I decided to simplify. Each child will do their own literature, history, math, and copy work, but as a family, we would do Shakespeare, nature study, poetry, art, music, composer, folk song, and hymn, and handicrafts. I understand the goal is to get each child reading on their own as soon as possible, but I know that is typically saved for years 4 and up. How do I find the balance between the idea of keeping everyone separate and in their own proper level and the simple reality of only one mama and 4 littles? By combining them together for our beautiful things, am I holding them back because they aren't doing all of these things at their own level? All right, great question. Really, if you look at this here, right, we've got year 1, year 2, year 3, all right? And that right there is the reason why I wanted to do this example, because that closeness in age is what makes this the perfect family for an example. Now, if you have more children, if you have 10 children, you probably still run into this kind of a thing. You just might have it running in more levels. So this is great because it's one of the smallest, I suppose maybe the smallest you would do this with would be like 3 kids, right? It's a great example because it's a smaller group, and yet you're going to see the whole way that this would work out. Okay, so let's move on. My answer, of course, to this is don't keep your children all separate. AO for groups was designed to solve this problem and keep you sane. So your answer is not to keep everybody separate. It is to use AO for groups. Now, with that said, I did keep everybody separate because AO for groups didn't exist, and no one was even really talking about things like combining or form rotations or anything like that. I mean, this was a long time ago when I started, and so it is doable. And I did have a year where I needed to read aloud almost everything to 3 kids, but that was a super hard year, and I wouldn't recommend it. AO for groups allows you to avoid, the stressful year that I had. So take advantage of the wisdom of those who have gone before. They've put this together for you. Use it. You will be happy you did. So AO for groups, let's talk about this. You basically have 2 options here. So option 1 would be start right away in AO for groups with the oldest child. Mom has said her oldest child is currently age 7 and entering 2nd grade this year. Okay. This child is older enough than the other children that she's never going to be combined with anyone. She's never going to have her form overlap with someone else's form. But with that said, there could be a good argument for putting her in AO for groups right away. The strongest one just being that since AO for groups is what mom is going to be teaching to the younger children, it gives mom a chance to actually practice what she's going to be doing, right? Instead of doing one thing and then having to rework her plans and do another thing. So option 2 then would be put the oldest child into an individual AO year, right? Because she's not going to be combined anyway, and then start AO for groups with the 2nd child's 1st grade year. And really, I guess I was thinking, so mom said that last year during 1st grade, she used some AO stuff to supplement the curriculum that she was using at the time. So I was making the assumption that, she really could go into AO Form 1 Year B and have that work okay. But maybe when she looks at it, she thinks, really, I just need to do Year 2. And that's fine too. So anyway, we're going to try to do this. We're going to map this out. We're going to do the math and see what it would look like. Okay. So we're going to start with this current school year that's coming up. All right. The 2019-2020 school year. And we've got 4 children. I have color coded them, and then I'm going to change the icons as we go so you can kind of see if their icons match. They're all doing the same thing pretty much. All right. So we're going to start with child number 1, age 7. I'm assuming that she did a lot of the Year A Form 1 material, and so she will do AO for groups, so Form 1 Year B. Remember, this is option 1. We're mapping out option 1. She could just go into Year 2, but we're not going to worry about it right now. Okay. So this will be the first year, this coming year. Then we go to next year. Okay, I made a note here. Child number 2. So mom told me, right, that child number 4 and child number 3 and child number 2 are all going to be stair steps, right? So I know that child number 2 is not one that mom's planning on putting into Year 1 or into formal education, I guess I would say, next year. But with that said, she will be 6. And that is when Charlotte Mason started formal lessons. So it would be possible at this time to combine this child with child number 1 and do Form 1 Year C. With that said, the rest of this mapping out that we're doing is going to be based upon what mom said, which was that there will be a day when they are in years 1, 2, and 3, and then 5. So I'm assuming she doesn't really want to combine child 1 and 2 for whatever reason. And so we're going to map out the rest of this according to what mom said. All right. So let's go to another year. This is the 2021-22 school year. Child number 1 has finished Form 1 and is entering Form 2. Okay, an option would be to just put her directly into Year 4. Okay, or if mom has decided she wants to continue with AO for groups for whatever reason, put her in Form 2 Year A. Okay, those are 2 options. Child number 2 is now definitely starting school, and she is starting Form 1 Year A. All right. So notice, child number 2, child number 1 are not together, right? Children 3 and 4, these 2 are doing preschool at this time. Let's go another year. All right. Child number 1 is in Form 2 Year B or AO Year 5. Child number 2 is in Form 1 Year B, and child number 3 is jumping into Form 1 at Year B. Child number 4 still gets to play all day. The next year, everybody's now school age, right? Notice our bottom 3 students. Here they are. They are all what? Combined, right? They're all doing Form 1 Year C. And then we've got child number 1, age 11, doing either Form 2 Year C or AO Year 6. All right, now we're going to the 24-25 school year, and we've got child number 1 in AO Year 7. So here's the deal, and I'm only going to say this once about Form 3 versus AO Year 7. Okay. I don't really recommend Form 3. I'll give a caveat, but for the average normal child that you would like to see go all the way through AO Year 12, you need to do Year 7 or you're not going to get there, because Form 3 actually takes Years 7 and 8 and spreads them out over 3 years. So it would actually cover, using the Years 7 and Years 8 material, a 7th, 8th, and 9th grade year, if that makes sense. So if you have a child that struggles, gets overwhelmed, maybe has some learning disabilities, Form 3 is great. Or if you're running a school, Form 3 can be great. Or if you need to combine for some reason, Form 3 can be great. But if you really want to see, if you want to set yourself up to be able to do AO Year 12, you need to have the pacing right in order to get there, which means you need to do AO Year 7. Okay, that's not really what this video is about, but I thought I'd mention it. Okay, so now we're at child number 2. Child number 2 is now the right age for Form 2. So a couple options. One would be to do Form 2 Year A and say, hey, we're going to continue combining these younger 3 children as the years go by. Or we could say, hey, child number 2 is reading independently. We're going to spin her off into Year 4, and she's going to do her own independent AO year. Okay. Now notice child 3 and child 4 have swung back around, and they're now doing Form 1 Year A together. All right. Then we go to the 25-26 school year. Child number 1 is doing AO Year 8. Child number 2 is doing Form 2 Year B. And child 3, who had finished Form 1, has jumped into Year B of Form 2 with child number 2. And child number 4 is doing Form 1 Year B on her own, finishing up Form 1 for herself. Okay? 26-27 school year, child number 1 is in AO Year 9. Child number 2 is in Form 2 Year C or AO Year 6, so basically finishing up that second form. Child number 3 is doing Form 2 Year C combined with Child 2 or has been spun off into her own AO Year 5. And child number 4 is now able to be combined with children 2 and 3. So if you want to keep them combined, they would all be Form 2 Year C, or she can be spun off into her own AO Year 4. 27-28 school year. We now have 2 children in their own independent AO years. Child number 1 in Year 10, child number 2 in Year 7. Child 3 and child 4 can continue to be combined in Form 2 doing Year A, or they can be in their own AO years, Years 6 and 5. Now we have another child that has gotten independent. You see what's happening here? Child 1, Year 11, child 2, Year 8, child 3, Year 7, and child 4 is either finishing up Form 2 with Year B or doing Year 6. And then finally we have child number 1's senior year, AO Year 12, AO Year 9 for child 2, AO Year 8 for child 3, AO Year 7 for child 4. Everybody is out of AO for groups in their own years and it's going fine, right? By these ages, Mom really shouldn't be having to read aloud. Now, you might choose to do some reading aloud for fun or for bonding purposes, but you shouldn't really be needing to unless you've got some learning disabilities or something going on, which, you know, it's common. But anyway, let's see here. So remember, we had these 2 options, right? The first was to start right away in AO for groups with the oldest child, or to kind of give Mom some practice with AO for groups, or it was to put the oldest child, option 2, into an individual AO year and not start AO for groups with the second child's first grade year. So we're going to map this out a different way. So this is option 1. Okay, child goes into AO for groups, child 1, and starts with B just because it's second grade and that's what matches up well, and you know, with what she's done before because she did supplement with AO before. So we've got Form 1, B and C, and then Form 2, A, B, C, and then starting with Year 7, right? That's option 1. So how do children 2, 3, and 4 match up? Well, that's what we're going to look at. Child number 2 then would do preschool. Now notice they don't ever match up here, right? AO for groups Form 2A, AO for groups Form 1A, right? They just don't ever match up because they are that far apart in age or grade level, right? So child number 2 is going to do all the forms in consecutive order. Form 1, ABC, Form 2, ABC, and then spin off into Year 7. But child number 3 is not going in that order. So we have preschool, and then, right, so these 2, see how they're combined, right? And then they're combined here, right? Okay, so, but child number 3 is going to do AO for groups, Form 1, BCA, Form 2, BCA, and then go into Year 7. Child number 4 has her own order. So here is where they're all combined together, right? And then that happens again here. They're all combined together, right? But child number 3 is going to do CAB and then Form 2, CAB. Make sense? So you're combining when you can. Child number 3 is kind of bouncing back and forth, sometimes combined with 2, sometimes with everybody, sometimes combined just with child number 4. But in general, this really optimizes, you know, makes it really efficient. You've got everybody combined who can be combined. Okay, so let's look at option 2 though. Option 2 is, you know, this child just does straight AO years. Never going to be combined, so there's no reason to do groups. Perfectly valid option. Now we say here, you look, the goal was to get them independent by Year 4. They're independent by Year 4. They start doing their own individual years. That works. So then the combining is just happening right here, right? And then here, again, right? So we have combining here and we have combining here. So see, we have that overlap, but then a lot of the things are just being done on their own. Now, what would be a good reason for this? Let's talk about that. Because there would be. The biggest one would be if you're trying to have them read independently, you don't necessarily want to combine them unless you want to pay for individual books or if you want everybody standing in line for books. But generally you end up with this tension over the books and, you know, I've been waiting all day because she has this book and I need to read it. I can't narrate to you. I haven't read yet because so-and-so has the book or whatever. I mean, it can happen, right? But if you want to keep them combined, you still need to read aloud, or you just are really good at managing all that stuff, or you have the money and you want everybody to have their own books anyway, then, you know, putting them into their own AO year makes sense. It is important for them to start reading on their own when they can, but we do have to balance that with so many other things. I mean, there were AO schools that were very poor schools. They couldn't afford multiple books. So, into the high school years, the teacher was reading aloud to them. Um, there are pros and cons to that. We definitely don't want high schoolers who can't read for themselves. Okay, we don't want junior hires that can't read for themselves, right? So we want them to be independent, but at the same time, you can balance all of that with the other needs of the family. Make sense? All right. So what else? What do we have here? Well, yes, you can still combine other things, right? So hymns, folk songs, Bible reading isn't something that AO combines. It's something I like to combine. Shakespeare, Plutarch, what else? Artist study, composer study, right? All of those things are the beginning of your options. You can combine whatever works well for your family, but these specific things, hymns, folk songs, Shakespeare, Plutarch, what else? Not Bible study, sorry. Artist study, composer study. All those things are actually designed to be combined for AO, right? There's one artist assigned for every student in AO at a time, regardless of age. Or what year they're in. There's one, composer study. There's one folk song in a month. There's one hymn in a month. And all these things are just assigned across the board for everybody who's the age to do that, right? So anyway, all those things can naturally be combined. They're set up to be combined, and it does give you another great option. So anyway, I hope this helps you understand how to use AO for groups, how that would work out, what it would look like mapped over many years. And I hope that you understand that you can do AO without putting everybody in their separate years. So if you have any questions, use the comments to ask them, and I will try my best to assist you. Other than that, I'm out.